And happy Friday, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kay, and it's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by See-Through Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor Show, as well as Atlas Roofing. Thank you guys for sponsoring our videos. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We once again have another chance to see some hail across the Front Range as well as into parts of the northern plains, and even a chance in the northeast. So we'll talk about that. And then getting into tomorrow, the risk in the Front Range will shift off to the east a bit. So we'll talk about what areas we'll be watching for that for tomorrow. And then some more risks coming up for the end of our weekend, and then getting potentially into the beginning of next week. So we'll get into that as well. But first, let's look at yesterday's storm reports. You can see it was quite a busy day in terms of hail and wind. Most of the activity was here in the central part of the United States, but we had some activity in the Great Lakes region as well as into the northeast. A few scattered hail reports in the northern parts of New York, and then some scattered reports here from Michigan down into central Illinois, and then some more widespread activity happened here in Missouri and then into Kansas. We do have a 4-star map that happened in Kansas yesterday. We'll get into more details about that in just a moment. And yeah, we're going to zoom right on in here to Kansas, where Manhattan got some very large hail. And again, some more hail and wind reports across the state here in Kansas, and then some scatter reports here and there across the western part of the U.S. So I did mention we had a 4-star map yesterday. It was in Kansas, and the name of this map is called Manhattan Womingo, Kansas. The largest hail that happened was up to 2.75 inches in diameter, and the amount of homes that were impacted by quarter-sized hail or larger was a little over 26,000. So the largest hail happened here again from Manhattan to Womingo, and then we had some more just scattered hail swaths across the western parts of the state as well. So this is the bulk of what happened with this particular map yesterday in Kansas. So here are current conditions across the country. We do have some showers going on right now, basically right along the Front Range, Denver, all the way down into New Mexico, eastward into parts of Kansas, all the way up into Montana, and then we have some more rain going on into the northeast. So let's zoom on in here to those two areas. Again, nothing really concerning right now, just some heavier rain near the South Dakota-Nebraska border, and then some showers here and there from basically Montana all the way down to New Mexico. And then we have that trailing cold front in the northeast that is producing some showers and storms. So we'll be watching for the potential of severe weather along the head of that cold front as we go through this afternoon and evening. And zooming on out, taking a look at our temperatures, we're starting to warm up here in the south. It's that time of the year where those storm systems start to track further north, and we start to heat up in the south. It is already 87 here in Oklahoma City, 89 in Dallas, 93 in Houston, and those warm temperatures stretch all the way to the East Coast. And then here in the north and near the U.S.-Canadian border, temperatures are a lot more comfortable, where it's 76 in Minneapolis and 69 in Billings. So besides that, we do have some moisture, especially here in the central and southern plains, where it's starting to feel a bit uncomfortable. Once we start getting into the mid-60s and higher in terms of dew point, that's when you really start to notice that heaviness and that stickiness in the air once you walk outside. And so that's what's going on right now in the central plains down to the Gulf Coast, for a 66-degree dew point in St. Louis, 71 in Wichita, more 60s and 70s as you go south. But then as you go further north, and this may be a concern today for those storms and how large that hail may get, that moisture starts to drop off as we go further north. So we only have a fixed 56-degree dew point in Denver, so not the best conditions, so we'll be watching that to see if that improves as we go through this afternoon and evening. So here are a few radar models. You guys know how this works. This is just one particular run of one particular model to kind of give us an idea of what may happen and where. So right now, just those showers that we saw on our radar a few moments ago. And then as we go into the rest of this afternoon, those storms will start to push off of the Rockies and get into Denver. So we could see some hail along and east of the Rockies here. So Denver, Pueblo, Colorado Springs, you guys are all at risk today. We will see how large that hail will get. Again, the moisture is not the best, but I mean, I've seen worse conditions. So as we go through the rest of this afternoon, those storms will push off the Rockies and get into eastern Colorado. It could be more of a wind risk today here in eastern Colorado. And then as we go into the rest of this evening, that pushes into Kansas and into Nebraska. You can see those linear segments trying to form here and not those individual cells that we like to see for hail. And then as we go through the rest of this evening, that activity will continue to push off to the east and I think be more of a wind threat than hail. And then getting into early tomorrow morning, you can see Omaha, you may get in on some action. At least it looks like more wind again than hail, but we will see what happens with that. And then moving further on to the north, again, just some showers going on right now, nothing, severe, anything crazy. But then as we go through, the rest of this afternoon, we can start to see a few storms trying to fire up here. Again, moisture may be a concern. So the hail sizes at this moment don't look like they're going to be too large. But, things can change. Mother Nature always likes to throw us a curveball every once in a while. But you can see some storms here potentially trying to fire up in the Black Hills region, so Rapid City, and then westward to Billings. We'll be watching these areas very carefully. And then as we continue through the rest of the evening, those storms will slowly track off to the east here, and then some more activity along the South Dakota, Nebraska, North Dakota border, and then continue to push off to the east as we go into the overnight hours and as we wake up tomorrow morning. And then we do have another risk here in the northeast along and ahead of a cold front. So again, hail is possible here, and I'm not expecting anything too crazy in terms of size, but you can see some individual cells trying to fire up here from basically Maine all the way down to Pennsylvania, westward into Ohio. And then as we continue through the rest of this evening, just along the head of that front, those storms will try to fire up here. We could see some marginally severe hail as well as some gusty winds. And then as we go into later on this evening, this is at 11 p.m. Eastern time, that cold front will start to push off the coast, and then we should start to quiet down significantly as we get into the overnight hours tonight and into early Saturday morning. So here's our hail forecast for today. So we do have multiple areas, once again, that we'll be watching. First is here along the Front Range. I think there's a decent chance to see some large hail in Denver down into Pueblo. Definitely a quarter to $half size hail is possible. Will we get larger hail? Again, moisture is a concern. So the confidence isn't very high to go any larger than the yellow. But, again, Mother Nature loves to surprise us. But that chance is there today to see large hail from Denver down to Pueblo. And then lower end chances here in Hays, Kansas, all the way to North Platte. I think the chances for wind are stronger there for you guys. And then heading up north here from Billings, Dickinson, down into Rapid City, we have a low chance for those, hit and miss storms to produce large hail. And then lastly, along the head of that cold front in the northeast, we have a low chance to see some quarter to maybe $half size hail for any storms that develop. And then in terms of wind, same areas. I did increase the wind speeds here. We could see some stronger winds as those storms move off the Rockies and get into eastern Colorado and western Kansas. So Denver, I have you at a low right now. I think the better chances to see those strong winds will be to the east of you, but again, Hayes, North Platte, we could see some 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts with those storms as they push off those Rockies, and then a low end chance for those strong winds up to 60 miles per hour in Wichita. Then a low end chance here again from Rapid City northwestward into Billings and eastward into parts of far western North Dakota. And then some spotty here and there gusts up to 60 miles per hour are possible with any storms that reach severe limits from basically Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh, all the way in New York, all the way up to Portland, Maine. It shouldn't be anything too crazy. It should just be here and there, but 60 mile per hour wind gusts are possible with any storms that do reach severe limits. Then getting into tomorrow, that risk shifts off to the east a bit. We'll be waking up tomorrow morning. It'll be a bit wet here in Omaha, and then parts of western Iowa, northwestern Missouri, up into southern Minnesota. And then as that pushes out Saturday morning, it'll start to weaken a bit. But then as we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening, you can see a few storms trying to fire up here. So near Omaha, North Platte, down into central Kansas, maybe as far north as Minneapolis. But you can see as I put this into motion a bit more, it's nothing too explosive. So right now it just looks like it'll be here and there. So we'll be watching this to see how this unfolds tomorrow. And then we could see some more widespread activity as far north as Minneapolis as we get into the overnight hours Saturday into our Sunday. And then, it starts to weaken a bit as we wake up on Sunday morning. And then going out a bit further west, you can see here that just some rain here going on in parts of Montana as we get into our Saturday afternoon. And then just to the east of Great Falls, we could see some storms trying to fire up here. And then some more robust activity potentially may fire up here in parts of the Dakotas, so Rapid City. It looks like right now the worst of it may stay to your north, so I'll be keeping you guys out of the risk for now, but we'll be keeping an eye on you guys tomorrow just in case. And then the activity will push off to the east as we get into tomorrow evening. Bismarck, you may get some storms, and then again, they'll push off to the east as we get into late tomorrow and into early Sunday morning. And that activity will go up into Canada. So here is tomorrow's hail forecast. Again, 2 areas, and I'm keeping it quite low right now. Things can change, though. So we have a low-end chance from Amarillo up to Wichita, Grand Island, Des Moines, and then a low-end chance here in Bismarck, North Dakota, and just to the east of Billings right now. So again, 2 areas that we'll be watching for that hail tomorrow. And then getting into our jet stream, you can see the main jet stream here in the mid-levels of the atmosphere is way up into Canada. And you can see those reds here across a large part of the U.S. And that indicates that we are hot. And looking at the temperatures earlier, that is very true. So it's going to continue to be warm and getting, hot and humid, and it'll just continue to stick around here for the next few days. As we get into this evening, you can see a little short wave pushing off of the Rockies. This will be one system that we will be watching for the potential of severe weather. And then you can see that trough pushing off into the Atlantic as we go into this evening. But until that cold front passes, we could see some storms there. Then getting into tomorrow, that trough starts to move off to the east. So basically, again, Minneapolis all the way down to Kansas. We'll be watching for some severe weather there, and then potentially another area out further west. And then as we get into the rest of this weekend, that heat dome starts to move east a bit, so the northeast, you guys will continue to get a bit toasty as well. As we get into Sunday, you can see a few little short waves starting to form here. We could see another area here in the northern plains to watch for the potential of severe weather on Sunday. And then we start to see another trough start to deepen here in the western part of the U.S. on our Monday. And you can see that heat continues to build up here in the eastern part of the U.S. So really hot in the east, here in the central plains, and then starting to cool down a bit in the northwest with that next trough moving on in for our Tuesday. So this is just for Sunday. We do have an area that we'll be watching from basically parts of the northern peninsula, upper peninsula of Michigan, parts of Wisconsin, westward into Minneapolis, all the way to Rapid City. The chances right now are, low, but this could, of course, change as we get into the next few days. So we'll be monitoring all of this for you as we get closer to our Sunday. But that's all for now. I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. And if you guys haven't already, follow us on X or Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as our TikTok page. Hit the See First on Facebook so you don't miss any of our live videos. If you would like to get set up with a demo, you can scan the QR code above and that will get you set up with that. And then, as always, if you have any questions or concerns, you can call us at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com and check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend.